Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. I'm Fred LeMarche and we're going to be talking about 5 things that you can do to make your hairstyling easier at home. If you're new here, I'm Fred LeMarche. Let's take a moment, pause this video and subscribe to this channel. You'll enjoy it, you'll see. So, like I just said, today we're going to be talking about 5 ways, or 5 things you can do really, that are going to up your game when it comes to you styling your hair. Now, I get a lot of guys that come in and sit down in my chair and always like, why can't I do my hair like this at home? So today, I got you covered. We're going to cover 5 things that I think really make the biggest difference when you're going to do your hair at home. Now, these may not all apply to you, but most of them will. And I've got some really cool things here that I'm going to show you that I think are cool, that I think will really make your hairstyling game great. When we look at men's hairstyling, I constantly am getting pictures of guys coming in with pictures of celebrities or famous people or anyone that they want their hair. And the difference is that person's had their hair styled by a professional usually. And if we want to emulate that at home, we've got to just take a couple of extra steps. Now, I'm not talking about spending 20 or 30 minutes on your hair. Some of these steps you can literally do in seconds and will really change how your hair looks. So let's get into it. Here are 5 things you can do to up your hair game at home. Now, the first thing you can do at home is really choose a great quality shampoo and conditioner. Why this is so important is if you've got fine hair, you want to go for something that's going to give you a bit of volume. If you've got thick, coarse hair, you're going to want something that's going to tame the frizz. And that's what's really going to make the difference. So really take some time, put some thought into what you're going to be using on your hair. You don't want to be using too much of an anti-frizz product if you've got really fine hair, because it's going to collapse out your style and make the hair sit really flat. And if you've got really coarse frizzy hair, using something volumizing is going to make the hair look really rough. So think about what you're using. I've got some of my favorites here with me. This is the KMS Moisture Repair Shampoo and the KMS Tame Frizz Conditioner. Keep in mind that when you are choosing a shampoo or conditioner, you can definitely mix and match. Sometimes you're going to want a bit of a lighter moisture in your shampoo, but a little bit of a heavier finish with your conditioner. Now, there's a lot of you guys out there that are going to be like, I don't condition my hair. It's not for me, it makes my hair go fluffy. Bear with me for a second. You want to do this and you want to do it often, especially with conditioner. Reason being, your hair's going fluffy because when you do shampoo, you're taking out all the moisture, you're taking out all the kind of softness and smoothness on that hair. If you're not replacing it, that hair doesn't know what to do. It's going static. And when you give it that hit of moisture, or when you give it that conditioner, it doesn't know what to do with the moisture. To me, the single most important step when you do this is going to be your conditioner. Now, there's a lot of guys that will come in and always say to me, Fred, my hair goes really fluffy when I condition. And I agree with you, it does. And the reason it's going fluffy is that you're not doing it enough. Hair is a fabric. The more you do something, the better it's going to get. Conditioner is going to do a couple of things for your hair. It's going to close the outside layer of the hair and allow the hair to sit smoother, so your natural texture will define more. If you've got a wave, it's going to help to smooth out that wave. Even if you've got fine hair, it's going to help to smooth out that hair and allow the hair to have a little bit more volume over time. That fluff will disappear after about 2 to 3 weeks of repetitive action with conditioning. So don't give up on your conditioner, because it's actually going to take away that fluffiness and help you actually create a smoother foundation for what your styling products are going to do. If you're really unsure what to use, talk to your hairstylist. They know your hair best. And rather than going to the supermarket and looking at the aisles of product and thinking what here is for me and getting overwhelmed, they've probably made a selection that's of what they're stocking in the salon. It's going to be really great and they're going to be able to direct you in the right direction. Do not miss this step. I guarantee you this will make a huge, huge, huge difference. Now you've come out of the shower and your hair's all nice and soft and you've been conditioning like we just talked about. The next step I want to talk to you about is talking about a blow dryer. A lot of you guys will avoid this step, and here's why you're not getting that perfect hair. Think about this. When your hair is wet, the water is separating it. When you're adding product to that water, the water is actually quite heavy. Think about when your hair's wet, it kind of wants to hang flat. The product is dry in your hair as the water is weighing it down. You're never going to get that volume, you're never going to get that texture. Think about it. The watermarks plus the product are creating a separation that's setting like that. Turn on your blow dryer for a few moments and just work it with your fingers or a brush, which we'll get to in a second. And what you'll find is you're going to take that water away and you're going to give back the hair that volume. Now, my favorite thing to do with the blow dryer is turn it on to high heat but low speed. When it's on high speed, it's just going to blow the hair in all directions and you're not going to have enough time to control it. Go to low speed with high heat and use your fingers and maneuver that hair, and you'll actually kind of bring out some of that texture. If you want volume, lift it with your fingers and give it some volume. If you want it flat, work it in the direction you want it to go and encourage it to sit in that direction. Blow drying it everywhere is going to give you a lot of volume and texture, but then if you're wanting it to sit flat, that's just defeating the purpose. Now, if you want smoother hair, or if you're going in and trying to get some control, I definitely recommend leaving your nozzle on. This is going to direct your airflow and help give you a much better result. Without it, the air's just going everywhere, and if the air's going everywhere, your hair's going to go everywhere. For those of you who got curly hair, you don't want to go in with the nozzle and a blow dry because the nozzle's just going to blow your hair right around. Instead, what you want to invest in is a diffuser. With a diffuser, you simply pop it on the end of your blow dryer and click it in, or some of them go over and you can get some universal ones. And this is going to spread out and give you a really gentle, soft airflow. This is going to allow you to control the hair and allow that soft air to dry the hair without pushing it all around, minimizing frizz. So a diffuser is the way to go if you have curly hair and you want to keep it curly, or a nozzle is the way to go for general drying or if you just want to add some volume to the hair. But 90% of the time, I'm using a nozzle on my blow dryer, and that's making the biggest difference. Next up, the next thing I think is going to make the biggest difference is investing in some brushes. Now, you don't need all of these. One will do. Figure out which one's right for you. These are probably with men's hair cutting. These are probably my 3 favorite brushes, and I'll go through them all now so you know which one to pick for you. This one here is a blow drying brush. It's a round brush. Now, with a plastic bristle, the bristles are really widely spread apart. So this one allows for the hair to really slide through. This one's great for people who've got fine hair, want to add some volume, or if you've got straight hair and you want to give your hair a little bit of bend. This is also a really great brush to begin with, as the bristles are a little further apart, so it allows the hair to move smoothly, so you're not going to be struggling with having to overly control the hair. You'll see a lot of barbershops use these, or a lot of barbers using these, and it's a great styling brush. Gives you some really nice movement. It's really easy to use. My second favorite brush is my vent brush, or sometimes known as a spider brush. Now, with a spider brush, or a vent brush as they call them, this one here is great for people who want to slick their hair back or create like a lot of smoothness. This one here allows you to continually move the hair with the blow dryer. It allows the air to move through the body of the brush because it's got the vents through here and the vents through there. It's going to give you a smoother finish, and you can even use it to kind of lift certain areas and direct the hair. If you think about the bristles between this brush and this brush, because these ones are kind of further apart, I almost feel like this one is a round version of this, except where the bristles are a little tighter. That's why these two are my favorite, because this is kind of like a round version of something I would choose when I'm wanting to go naturally to a vent brush, but I want to create like a little bit more curve or a little bit more height in the hair, where I'll opt for the vent brush when I want to kind of create slightly smoother styles, or I just want to dry through the hair and give it some direction, because this one here you're going to be brushing with the head shape, where, move my hat, where this one here you're going to be able to lift and direct and move the hair around. For those of you that have curly hair, or you want a little more control, or your hair flies through the bristles of those brushes a little too quickly, you're going to want to go for a metal radial brush. The great thing about a metal radial brush, especially if you have curly or frizzy hair, is the center heats up with the blow dryer and actually always works a bit like an iron, helping to smooth the hair out a little bit more. The curvature of the brush gives you that little bit of body and movement, but the bristles are tighter packed together, so it's actually going to grip the hair a little bit more and help you get a smoother finish. This one does take a little more practice, but if you're someone who struggles with your curl, or someone who wants to encourage a little bit more bounce and curl, this is a really great option. But either way you go, whether it's one of these 3, it's personal preference. If you guys are interested in me doing some hairstyling videos showing you how to use a brush and a blow dryer in just a couple of minutes, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know, because I'll create that for you. I'm really happy to. I've got a whole bunch of guys I can get in, and I can really show you how to make the most out of styling hair with a model. Tip number 4 is actually to talk to your stylist and get the right haircut for your hair. Pictures are actually a really great way and a really unused tool when it comes to kind of men in my chair and cutting their hair. A lot of guys will be really intimidated to take a picture to a stylist and will have more of an opinion about what they want. But a picture's a great thing, because a picture shows me things you like or things you don't like. So I'm going to get a better understanding of what you like and what you don't like just by showing me a picture or two. It doesn't have to be necessarily exactly what you want. It just has to be an idea. From there, if you've got the right shape and the stylist has worked with your curl, worked with your straightness, worked with your face shape and your head shape, then all these tips combined are going to give you a really easy style. So talk to your stylist, respect their opinion, and communicate what you want or what you don't want, and you'll find that any of these tips mixed with that will make the biggest difference. Now, my 5th and final tip is going to be Pick the right products. Now, I'm going to run through a few products because I want to kind of explain the difference of what each of these are going to do for you and at what point you can use them, because I think a lot of guys get really intimidated. They walk out of a salon with a wax, or they go to the supermarket and buy a gel or a wax, and it doesn't necessarily work, and I'm going to explain why. And what you really want to think about is if your stylist, or if you've shown me a picture that has a lot of height and a lot of volume, but then you're using a pomade or something that's really heavy, the oils in that pomade are going to melt and going to flatten down on you, especially if there's someone who produces a lot of body heat. So it's really important to maybe opt for a matte wax in that finish, or a matte pomade, or something that has a little bit more hold and grip. So I'm going to run you through some of my favorite products and talk about why they work and how thinking about that can actually change what happens with your hair. So the first couple of products I'm going to talk about are what I like to call pre-stylers. So with a pre-styler, when you come out of the shower and your hair's wet, this is a product you want to get in your hair while your hair is wet, and you want to work it in and give it a little bit of texture. Now, if your hair is fine, you want to give it some body. A wax on its own isn't going to do that. Think about it like a house. If the foundation's not there, the house is going to collapse. Hair is the same. We need to build the foundation, then finish off with the styling product, and that's the way you're going to get an all-day hold and an all-day style that's going to be either able to be reworked through the day, or it's going to look good all day. One of my favorite products is the American Crew Light Hold Texture Lotion. The Light Hold Texture Lotion to me feels like a cross between a light volumizer with a bit of a leave-in conditioner kind of feel. So it's great for anybody who's got slightly unruly hair, who wants a bit of control but also wants a little bit of hold. This is also great for guys with long hair who want to give it some definition and texture and want to minimize fluffiness if you're letting it air dry. You can put this in and let it dry naturally, and it's the kind of product you could probably run your hands through while it does, and it's going to give you a light filminess that's going to give you a little bit of volume but still a nice smooth control. This is one of my favorites to go to when I want volume but also a little bit of softness and manageability in the hair. Light Hold Texture Lotion, it's a winner. Next up is another American Crew product. This is the Tech Series Texture Foam. Now there's two foams in this series, but I prefer this one over the other one, and this is the one that has the flatter nozzle on it. This is a mousse, and mousses are really great for giving you volume and texture. So this is not something you really want to use if you have frizzy or curly hair, unless you really know how to work it. Why I like this one more is this one I find has a little bit more of a filmy residue in the hair. Now, on long hair, I might not want that residue, but on short hair, that filmy residue, or let's call it texture, is going to give us a little bit of pre-styling ability. It's going to feel like there's a bit of product in the hair so that you don't have to do as much work with it and you don't have to go into as much product later on. So this one here gives me that, it's a bit of a fibrous feel. Now the next one I really love is the KMS Tame Frizz Smoothing Lotion. Think of this as a leave-in conditioner that's really smoothing, has a lot of hydration to it, and is going to protect your hair and give it a little bit of slip in the brush. This is really great for that guy who's got coarse, frizzy, curly, unmanageable hair and needs to soften down that texture of the hair. If you do it without product, you're going to be struggling with the hair going a bit fluffy and the hair not having anything helping you smooth it out. Popping a couple of pumps of this in on damp hair before you blow dry with a brush is going to really allow the hair to smooth out, have some more control in the brush, and deliver a smoother finish. For those guys who've got coarser or frizzy hair that just don't want their hair to go as wiry when they even let it dry naturally, you can pop some of this in and let it dry naturally, and this is going to stop the fluffiness coming into your hair. It's going to give it some control. Think of it kind of like a body moisturizer. It's going to give you that nice slip on the outside of the hair that's going to help the hair to become a little bit more manageable and a little bit more soft. So this is a really great one that I really love. And I use it all the time on anyone when I really just want to create a smoother or more hydrated finish. And I haven't forgotten you curly head boys out there. I have the KMS Curl Up lotion here. So what I really like about the control cream from KMS Curl Up, it's a little bit of a thicker product. So this one's actually going to help to bind your curls and control your curls so that when you put a diffuser on them, they've got enough control in them that the air's not just going to blow them apart. It's got humidity resistance and it's got a great moisture to it. So when you pop this on the hair, it's going to give you that curly detailed separation. With a curl product, you can afford to be a little bit more generous with it if you want. A small amount will give you a really light control, while a generous amount will give you a lot more control. If you're going to use a blow dry with it, I'd probably go somewhere in between or a little bit more closer to heavier, because the air from the blow dryer is going to give you that little bit of push, and you want to have enough product on there that it's controlling the curl. The Curl Up lotion is a really great one from KMS. I know there's another one that I really like from, I haven't used it in years. There is Motion Lotion from Kevin Murphy. There is also a TG one called Curls Rock. All kind of really similar products. This is just my favorite one at the moment. It's a little bit more elastic, where I find the Kevin Murphy one a little bit softer, but then the TG Curls Rock a little too hard. This kind of fits somewhere in the middle, gives you a really nice bouncy defined curl, but a lot of texture and manageability in it. Now we've talked about building the foundation. So those products, like I've said, are pre-stylers. They're going to be great to go in and give the hair the starting point of whatever you want it to be. I've just picked two of my favorite waxes here. These are great, and I've got so many that I like to use. Like I said, hair is not one size fits all. So it's really important to find something that fits with what you're trying to do and how you're trying to wear your hair. If I'm after a matte clay, my favorite clay that I just can't seem to get past, and so many of my clients will have this one, is from a brand called Modern Pirate. It's the matte clay paste. What I love about this, it's not sticky. It starts off as a creamy, dry clay. It's a clay paste, so it's a clay but a paste, so it moves really nicely in the hands. As you put it in the hair, it doesn't have too much moisture where it's creating a lot of stringy separation in the hair. If you go a little heavier with it, you can actually create that kind of texture with it. But what I like about this is once you apply it to hair that's had a really good foundation prepared to it with one of the products we've talked about, this is going to give you a really kind of like natural voluminous feel that's not going to look like you've got too much product in it. I tend to use it more sparingly because you can always add more, but if you do want more of a producty feel, you can definitely go in with a lot more product and get that kind of separation. I just personally don't like that kind of feel. If you head over to my Instagram, you'll see the kind of work I produce, and that kind of work that I like usually has a little bit more of a lived in, undone vibe, and this I find is a great product for it because it's water soluble, it's shampoo soluble, comes out of hair really, really easily, but it's got a really dry matte finish. It smells great. Everyone seems to really, really love this one. It's got a really firm hold. So even if you've got fine hair, using a really small amount of this can still give you quite a lot of volume. But if you want a lot of control and you've got thicker hair, it's going to hold that hair down for an all-day hold. So the next product I've got to show you is one that you may have not ever thought about. This is a product called KMS Dry Wax, and this is actually a spray wax. So as you can see, it's a spray. Now, spray waxes aren't the most common, but why I love a good spray wax is spray waxes are great at when you have longer hair or when you have finer hair and you really don't want to grab a product and rub it through your hands and pull it through hair and flatten it or take over some of this pre-styling you've done. Spray waxes are great for people who want like a medium hold, but then they want a lot of versatility. So let's say you've blow dried your hair or you've got like a naturally wavy hair and it's looking really great, but you just want to add that finishing touch. You grab the spray wax, you spray it through the hair, and then you slightly touch through it, and you haven't had to necessarily grab a wax out of a jar, rub it through your hands, and then push it through and flatten out or clump up hair that you don't want. For fine hair, this can sometimes be a really great choice because it's just going to accentuate the texture you've got without adding too much product. For thicker hair, this is a great solution if you want to keep the volume in the hair, but you don't want to add a lot of control. So spray waxes can actually really work in a way that you hadn't thought of. Spray wax is also really great on something like medium to long hair because you can spray it through without tangling your hair up and pushing the wax all the way through. So I really love this kind of stuff. Not enough people use the spray wax. I actually think if more people tried it, they'd really love a spray wax. It doesn't have to be the KMS one. I know that Red can do a really nice one. I think Evo, an Australian brand, actually have a really nice one as well, but this is just the one I'm loving at the moment. So that's it, guys. That's my 5 tips for making your hair look boss at home. If you try any of these tips and you take a photo, please tag me in any of your selfies that you upload to Insta. I'd love to see what you're doing. If you have other favorites that I may not have mentioned, which are a lot because I really mentioned a couple of products, tell me what your favorites are. It's always really interesting to me how different products work in different countries. So leave it in the comments below. I'll be checking those. And tell me what you want to see next. I want to really do a series where I'm styling guys with different lengths and different products and showing you how to really work short, medium, and long hair. Is that something you might be interested in? If it is, let me know. Just keep in mind, I'm a hairdresser. I'm doing hair all day, every day. So what I like to do is not necessarily what you're going to like to do. Hair is personal, and as long as you own it and you rock it, then that's what I want. But if you're someone who struggles with hair, then I think picking up any of these 5 tips will really change a lot of what you do. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Don't forget to follow me on my socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They'll all be linked in the description below. And give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Till then, have fun and paint the town Fred.
Bye.